Let's start off with something rather jazzy. Just listen to it. But what was that? Let's break it down. What if Wagner wrote jazz? He was born in 1813 and he died in 1883, so he died 140 years ago. He wrote operas because no one was thinking about jazz in those days. But in his opera about Tristan and Isolde, which was basically a love story, he did something very special with chords. Right in the middle of a string of 4 chords, which today would probably be called a chord progression, he used 2 dominant 7 chords with flat 5s in a row by going down a half tone. And that sounds like this. That was a bit unusual for when he lived, but not as unusual as you might think. Let's keep going with 8 of these, all moving down chromatically by 1 half tone. Now let's hear the jazzy thing I did at the beginning one more time. There you have the whole idea. Wagner used dominant 7 chords with flat 5s moving down chromatically. It made a unique sound that has been famous ever since. Now comes the rabbit hole, and this part is very difficult to explain. It turns out that there is a very sneaky way to do this with open voicings, so that the melody goes up twice, jumps down a fat tone, and then does the same thing. It keeps repeating the same idea. Each chord is the same, but because of the voicing, you can't hear what's going on because it is rather weird sounding and very sneaky. That sounds like this. It turns out that Wagner used 3 chords, not 2. He started with a half diminished chord, morphed to a dominant 7 chord with flat 5, and then morphed to a regular dominant 7 chord. That was the whole idea. It sounds very interesting, but those 3 chords by themselves are not really something terribly new. But then he added something very brilliant. When he got to that 2nd chord, he repeated it down 1 half tone in the way that I showed in the beginning of this video. So now he had 4 chords rather than 3, and I'm going to call this his Tristan morph. These morphing chords sound like this. Finally, he did one more thing that makes the whole idea work. By using open voicing, he disguised what he was doing by creating a melody line that keeps rising by half steps. So here is his final version. So now perhaps you know how I got to my short jazz idea that might have been written in the 1950s or 1960s for a mystery show. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave me comments about anything you like, comments about anything you'd like to see in the future, and remember that I consider all suggestions.